Did you see any movies this week? Why do I feel like you've seen
I
a
did.
movie?
Mr. Rogers.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think you should talk about that.
Want to talk about that now?
Sure.
All right. I saw Won't You Be My Neighbor? Hi, neighbor. The Mr. Rogers documentary. So,
I wonder if I should take off my jacket and change my shoes for this portion of the podcast.
and there was a reason why he did that. And they explained it on...
I feel like I've heard that explanation somewhere, but go ahead.
So yeah, you know how he comes in, he usually has like a suit jacket or something like that, and he you know, changes to his sweater and his tennis shoes. He did that for a reason to show, like, the kids that, you know, we're just going to kick back and we're going to relax, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing my fancy suit. I'm just, you know, I'm here just talk to the kids,
right.
You know.
And let's be honest, he's not going to remove the tie, take off the shirt, and grab a beer. So
yeah.
This is what he had to do, is put on tennis shoes and a sweater.
But yeah, and, you know, it's funny because I never realized why he did that either, and I found out because of this. Like, that's pretty genius. Like, I wouldn't have thought of that.
I never really thought about it. I just remember as a kid, I think, thinking it was kind of cool. Like, I just wanted to mock it, you know, I guess.
They did talk about the mocking.
What?
Like, because Saturday Night Live, they made fun of Mr. Rogers, and they did kind of talk about that.
Yeah.
And
I meant mocking it. I guess I should have said I wanted to be Mr. Rogers and imitate it, not be an asshole.
Right.
Not that they were being assholes, but...
But yeah, they did talk about how he didn't like it, but at the same time he thought it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
He was a really, like, happy, genuine guy, and like they talked about everything, how people thought he was gay because of how how nice he always is.
Isn't that sad that that's what people go to with stuff?
And it's like come on, man, someone can be nice.
So you're so nice and you're really good with kids. Like, are you gay? Like,
yeah,
what the hell?
Like, wow, and like he got, you know, there was those rumors flying around, and then also rumors that he was like a Navy SEAL, you know, which is not true.
I might have heard the Navy SEAL one.
I've heard that one too.
I never heard the gay one, and maybe just because I was a little kid watching Mr. Rogers, that wasn't anything I ever thought about or went to. So
yeah, but yeah, they talked about that. They talked about like how like real he was. He actually was going to be a minister, and I think he ended up getting ordained. Is it what it's called?
Yeah. I feel like that's more ammo for gay. You know.
Well, I think it was Christian. I don't think it was Catholic.
Okay.
So yeah, like he was like a minister, and he just said like he watched when TV first kind of like came out, like what he saw wasn't something like children shouldn't be watching this, you know, like there should be a children's show. Yeah. So he came up with this children's show, and he knew he wanted to be on TV because he felt like that was going to be the future medium, which obviously it was. Mm-hmm. And that's where he came out with the show, and it was a kids show, kind of talking about, you know, not necessarily like Sesame Street, although, you know, it had that Sesame Street vibe to it, but it was more about like life lessons. Yeah, exactly. And some of the topics he talked about, because like I watched Mr. Rogers, but you know I didn't watch him. You know, I was born in the '80s, so I didn't watch him way back then. But
I mean, I grew up on Mr. Rogers. I mean, obviously I watched it when I was you know, during that time of my childhood, but I watched the shit out of Mr. Rogers for sure.
Yeah, but like the early Mr. Rogers, like he actually talked about the assassination of Kennedy,
wow. Interesting.
Which was like, whoa,
yeah.
Like how do you talk to kids about that, you know?
But why not? Like someone has to.
But yeah, that's the thing. That's his point of view. Is like we can't like, you know, talk down to these kids. We got to talk to these kids. Yeah. And that's what his whole like philosophy was. Smart. It's like talking to these kids. You can't talk down to them.
Very ahead of his time.
Very ahead of his time.
Yeah.
And they talked about like how he had these puppets. You know, like Daniel the puppet that he has. They talked about like how they felt like that was an extension of him, because he would never talk about the way he feels, like when he was sad or depressed. Like he never talked about it, you know. Of course he was, and they said like so like I think it was his wife that said like it was like a symbiotic bond between his puppet and like the way he was feeling, and the way he was talking, and then, you know, as Daniel the puppet, and. Like, he would just hide all of his emotions. And it's insane how someone could do that and just always have. I want to say it's insane because, I mean, let's face it, I get depressed too. I hide it with, laughter and comedy, and like he does it with being nice and stuff like that. So,
meaning, were they trying to say he hid his emotions like both on and off the show, or just when the show would come on,
for the most
he'd
part,
leave it on? Okay.
For the most part, yeah. This documentary is very detailed. Like they talk about everything about his life. Obviously, because it's about him, but not only about him, but his wife and like the people on set who helped him out. Like they would pull pranks on him, and he would just take it like oh, that was funny. Like there was this one prank they showed where one of the PAs was hiding in the closet. So when he opened it, there was this PA just standing there, and he didn't like get scared. He just kind of like, oh hi, like it was weird.
Yeah.
Like I would have like jumped back or been
scared
shitless. But I'm easily scared.
Scareable.
So. Yeah, it was really interesting. They talked to the former, I think I might have said it. They talked to the former employees too, and that show aired for so long. And I think they said it ended, I believe, in 2000. I want to say.
Yeah, that's crazy. I had no idea.
I remember when it ended in 2000 because like, oh wow, like that's a.
I might remember just based off of like hearing the news that it ended, but I think I remember even thinking at the time, I was like, dang, I didn't know that show was still on. And if I did,
I thought the same.
And if I did, I probably would have tried to watch it every now and then.
Yeah, they do also talk about a burnout where he kind of feels like, well, we have enough shows, in the can that we can just replay them.
Right.
To kind of give him a break from, because every episode was new that he did.
Yeah.
He had something like over basically like syndication, so like about 100 episodes.
He had way more than that though, didn't he?
Oh, well, at the time, I'm just saying,
okay.
But yeah, right now he has way more. It's like about 1,000 or something. But I'm sure he had more than 100. But like he said, let's just kind of recycle them, kind of give them a break. But for the most part, they'd go in every day. They would record a show, and he got to a point where he like. The reason was that he ran out of ideas.
Yeah.
So he just wanted to replay episodes.
That's the thing with Mr. Rogers too, huh? Like that show was probably like a 5-day-a-week show, huh? It wasn't like, oh, it's on every Tuesday. Is that kind of how it was? Was it daily?
I think it was a daily, yeah.
Interesting. Oh,
I mean,
correct us if we're wrong. I haven't seen the documentary, and it's been a while. Rick's seen the documentary, so you can give him shit.
You can give me shit, yeah. But yeah, it was a beautiful story. Like I said, it ended in 2000, and this is something that I didn't know, maybe because I just wasn't aware, because I was older. But it ended in 2000, and then, of course, here we come, 2001. September 11th happens, and like you said, he kind of stopped because he ran out of ideas, and he felt like he was getting too old. But when that happened, the first thing he said to his wife was like, I need to do a show. I need to do something to talk to the kids about this, because this is huge.
Yeah. And
sure enough, like they brought, they built the stage and they brought him back, and he.
I don't think I knew that either.
I didn't know that.
Maybe I did though.
I don't know if I did.
I don't know if I did for sure, but like the more we're talking about it, it sounds like.
It sounds eerie familiar, but I don't think I'd ever remember that. Yeah.
Slightly familiar.
But yeah, he came back to talk to the kids about what happened.
And did it air on TV?
Yeah, it aired on television. Well, PBS.
It's probably like a special, yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of PBS, like, it was funded by the government, public broadcasting, and I think it was, I can't remember the dates exactly, but there was a date where they were pulling the funding for PBS as far as like his show, and I want to say it was in the, I don't want to put the date, but it was in somewhere maybe around the 50s, 60s, I would say, 60s, 70s, where they were going to pull the funding, and they said he went to Congress, saying like why he deserves the money, and they showed the entire like his speech to them and trying to get his money, and it's kind of like how you see those like typical like movies where you have the angry judge and like, you're not going to convince me, and you tell him this sappy story, and then like, well, you reached my heart, and that's exactly how it was.
Interesting.
And he's like, all right, like,
so glad more judges aren't like that. I feel like a lot of judges are assholes and stay assholes, but yeah,
pretty much. But yeah, he's like, after he gave his story about why he thinks, Mr. Rogers should be on the air and why they deserve the funding. He hit his gavel and said, "All right, you reached me. You got the money.
Nice.
Like, good job." Like, that was really nice to see.
Now, why did they want to pull it to begin with? Just because?
I think they wanted to funnel the money more into like something else,
Okay.
some other branch perhaps. I can't remember it exactly, but the movie is wonderful. The animation in this, when they talk about like Mr. Rogers or Fred Rogers when
Like
they talk about like his emotional states or
they fill in the gaps with
animation,
kind of like a draw my life sort of thing. Okay.
They kind of fill it with an animation of Daniel, his puppet, and it was beautifully drawn. I can't recommend this documentary enough.
I really want to see it.
If you watch Mr. Rogers at all,
yeah,
you gotta watch it.
I feel like it's gonna end up on like demand like pretty soon, or be like I feel like it's not gonna be in theaters for a long time. Like
I don't know, it might be.
You think so?
I think it's already like it's still like 95 or in the high 90s% of Rotten Tomatoes, and the buzz is getting out there.
Yeah,
it was a hit. I think it's South by Southwest.
Not saying because of that people aren't interested. I just have a feeling it just will have like a short theater run, and I could see it sooner rather than later, like at home. Not that I wouldn't go to the theater to see it, but
right.
I know it's kind of a limited release to begin with. Is his wife still alive or anything?
Yeah, I think so.
And then he had kids.
Yeah, he had 2 kids, I believe.
And they're in.
They're in the documentary. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, well, it's definitely something I want to see. I don't remember if we watched the trailer on this show.
He's playing at the ArcLight. We did.
We did?
I think we did.
On the show? Okay.
Maybe.
Oh, it's definitely playing at the... Yeah, I know it's playing. Whether or not I, like I said, rush out to go see it in theaters is another story. Not that I want it, but,
I would.
Yeah.
I'm saying it here. I would rush out and go see it.
Well, I just mean, like, it's something I want to see, but I know I don't have to see it in a theater. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that I want to wait, but you get what I mean? So, that's cool. I'm highly interested. Have been from the start. I had been even without seeing a trailer. So, yeah.
Gets you all teary-eyed, too. It's that good.
Oh, I'm sure it does.
Yeah. So, that's my review.
All right, cool.